Welcome to Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. Our first Reddit post is from Anon Can't Quit. You are replaceable. Okay, bye. I worked for a company for just under 5 years. The company I worked for existed for an additional 10 years prior to me. While I worked at this company, it ballooned to be the #1 provider in the region for its unique service with about 75% of the market. It was a small business of about 15 employees. I loved my job, and the skills I learned while working there were quite valuable. I loved my team and the clients we provided services for. My twice-yearly reviews with the owner were always 10/10 with no recommendations for improvement. I was exceptional at my job in every way. I handled company operations, payroll, customer service, marketing, employee management, schedules, employee and client training, and many other things at this company. I was also able to step in and do any of my teammates' jobs if they were out sick or on vacation. The owner of the company was giving out a bonus late summer last year, and mine, while being more than previous years, was notably less than my teammates. I asked owner, are the bonuses related to performance? And if so, what could I have done to earn more? Owner replied, the bonuses are not performance related, you are just more replaceable than the others. Oh, okay, I replied, and I proceeded to process each of the bonuses, then went to lunch. I called my spouse to gain wisdom and advice. I was pretty lit but didn't want to make a rash decision. My spouse is very intelligent and, while they are not a fortune teller, they have an ability to foresee various responses and all the potential outcomes. They are business-wise and have been on the executive team of a large company for the past 21 years, while also serving on several community boards and business advisory boards. We decided together to continue forward with our scheduled vacation and use the time away to calm our minds, relax, have fun, and to also determine the best course of action for me. We were leaving after working one more day, so I worked like all was normal the rest of the day and the following day, then left on vacation. While away, we discussed several scenarios, the potential outcomes, consulted with a business advisor and a business attorney. With all the advice I received, I determined that upon my return from vacation, I would resign from my role with a 2-week notice. However, in a fit of rage, I was immediately terminated by owner, which was one of the scenarios we thought would happen, so I was prepared for owner's poor reaction. During the next couple weeks, I created and opened a competing business offering similar services. However, I offered more customizable options with higher quality service and results. I knew our clients wanted these options and had proposed said options several times at old workplace, but was never green-lighted to implement the changes for no reason other than owner didn't come up with the idea, so it was a stupid idea. I also maintained communications with a few people from my old team. My old team did not relay the day-to-day happenings at my previous workplace, and I never asked about the company. However, they would vent to me on occasion. I would listen without comment. I knew service quality and the work environment in general suffered since my departure. Morale went down and clients were less satisfied. I also read the Google and Facebook reviews for old company. Yikes. Additionally, 2 full-time and 1 part-time persons were hired to fill my role and a portion of my responsibilities. I quickly built up my business and within 3 months was able to hire several of my old teammates. They were able to jump in on day 1 with minimal training, as they were the best employees at my old workplace. The quality of previous workplaces' offerings continued to fall, which sent additional business my way and quickly caused incoming work to be non-existent at old workplace. My old workplace went from being the #1 provider of unique service in the region to nothing in a matter of months. My previous employer is now searching for gainful employment. I know this because over the weekend, owner applied for a position at my spouse's company. Side note, I think my spouse's company should bring my previous employer in for an interview, but when they arrive, surprise. I'm the interviewer and all I say is how replaceable am I now. My spouse, rightfully so, has said no. Moral of the story: don't tell your employees they are replaceable because they might create a competing business that is better than yours while taking your best employees and your clients, which will leave you with no business to sell. Owner's whole retirement plan was to sell business and starting all over by searching for employment under someone else. Looks like your company was replaceable, not me. This comment is from February 2013. I have transitioned in my professional life from entry level to management and ownership. When I was an entry-level employee just out of school, I always thought it was a mistake for ownership to treat valued employees poorly, but figured I was young and the older, more seasoned business professionals knew better, so I must be wrong. As I have aged and progressed in business and in my career, one thing I learned is I was right when I was only a year out of school. Yes, costs must be monitored, but there is a difference between being mindful of costs and being cheap with your employees. Value your employees, pay them what they deserve and more, and productivity, client satisfaction, revenue, and profitability will follow from that treatment. You learned this lesson, benefited yourself, and screwed your IXBIS in the process. Nice work. This comment is from Girl Randall. In the last year, 8 women have quit the startup I was at. We made one bad hire and the entire place went to shit. And it's not like they didn't know why we left. Every single one of us told them in our exit interviews. This comment is from Seed. A similar situation happened to me in my early days of my career. The company I worked for sold proprietary software to motion picture animation and music industries, and I started there fresh out of uni as support, transitioning into QA through development and ultimately professional services. I was out in the field 45 weeks of the year for about 6 years and became the #1 asked for person to come out and fix things, since I knew the product catalog so well, could fix in real time, and leave the site with a very happy client. Only one other person was as capable in the position, since we both started and progressed almost equally through the ranks. My other colleague had recently quit, and they replaced him with a green college kid and started to send the kid out in the field, slowly replacing me. This poor kid was very, very unqualified and was universally despised by customers paying just south of $500 for his expertise. So anyhow, the company started to suffer a bit other reasons, and my boss took this as an opportunity to lay me off, which was a massive mistake, especially with how fragile the software has always been. I'd been there for about 15 years at the time, so I took a pretty healthy severance package when I left, and off I went on my merry way. I was set to retire from the industry as it became very stale for me. So out of the blue I get a call from my old boss, demanding that I help him with a problem, saying I was on severance, so was technically being paid by the company still, so it was on me to make sure the problems were resolved. I said, sorry, it's not how it works. You made sure I was not an employee and therefore sealed the deal when you laid me off. He then offered to pay my expenses to travel to the site. He took me up on it. While I was there, the customer pulled me aside and said this guy was bad-mouthing the hell out of me, and they weren't happy with their services, and asked if I'd continue on as consultant, and they'd drop the other company like hot stones. I took the offer, and over the next year myself and the other good consultant teamed up. Now, a word from today's sponsor. Surfshark is an all-around VPN solution that can do everything from torrenting as well as streaming to browsing the dark web. Surfshark is one of the very best all-round VPN, terrific for Netflix, torrenting, confidential browsing, as well as staying safe on public Wi-Fi. Check out Surfshark today, link is in the description. Now back to the video. Our next Reddit post is from Clawfast. Yell at us for parking in a reserved space, get arrested and evicted. Disclaimer: Unit 8 was rented by Rick and Tara, not owned. Last winter, around January, me, my family, and close friends were staying at our condo in Vermont for New Year's to celebrate, ski, etc. My dad owns the 8-unit complex our condo is in, and all but one had people up for the holidays. There's a decent amount of area for parking, but when there's a lot of people all there at once, it can get tight. So one night after returning from the mountain, we parked in the spot closest to the stairs to unload everything easier. Our parking lot isn't one with actual spots or anything because it's just gravel and dirt. A few hours later, my brother went to the car to get something from the car where there was a cardboard sign left on the car. The sign read "Reserved parking for Unit 8. Handicapped" on both sides. And yes, they forget the N in handicapped on both sides as well. Like I said, there's no specific spots for anyone. Unit 8 was one of the smaller units on the ground level, about half the size of the rest. The couple that rented there was sketchy, to say the least. They had to be in their mid-20s, but we never saw them much and didn't know too much about them. Let's just call them Rick and Tara. Another 20 minutes later, and I go down to the car to get some forgotten gloves. As I unlock the car, the lights alert them someone's at the car, and through the window Rick starts yelling at me, telling me I have to move the car by the morning or they'd have it towed. At this point, I can also realize that Rick is off of something, so I subsequently ignore him, grab my things, and head back up. I get into the condo and explain to my dad the experience I just had with Rick. At this point he'd had enough and decided he was gonna go down there himself to handle things himself. So he goes down there to talk to him. My dad was really the only person that had met them before, but it was briefly during the leasing of their unit. He knocks on the door and it's about 30 seconds until Rick angrily answers the door. He crankily asks, "What do you want?" and my dad politely explains that no spots are reserved and that it is first come first serve. Rick instantly starts freaking out, saying that it's a handicapped spot and that they're gonna call the landlord. They had little experience with my dad when they leased the place about a year before, and in that time he was diagnosed with cancer and lost a lot of weight. With that, his appearance changed drastically. Rick didn't realize he was speaking to the landlord and kept his rant going. As my dad was going to lay it out for him, he noticed on a table in the living area that there was a pipe of sorts. Paired with the behavior and appearance of Rick at the time, my dad concluded it was a pipe of sorts for drugs. He backpedaled out of the conversation and returned back up to our condo. When he got back in, he called the cops explaining the situation and what he saw. 30 minutes later, cops pull up and start talking to Rick. Going off what my dad told them about the pipe, one of the cops noticed it, but this time out in the open with a bag next to it. At that point it was revealed that they were smoking crack and they were both arrested. Along with that, my dad also evicted them from the property for violating terms, obviously. We ended up renovating the whole place afterwards because who knows how long they'd been smoking that inside. The upside is that the cardboard sign still hangs in the living room and gives us a laugh each time we pass. TL Drive, people yelled at us for parking in a reserved space that really didn't exist. Ended up getting arrested and evicted for smoking crack in the condo. Edit, holy shit, this blew up. Yes, I agree, the more climactic, no Rick. I am your landlord. A lot cooler. Edit 2, I see a lot of fuss over the handicapped spot, and let me confirm that neither Rick nor Tara had any disability or handicap. And sorry for the shitty spelling, but throughout the story I meant to be saying they were renters, not buyers. Also see a bunch of you quite mad about how we handled things. If you're a landlord and someone's smoking crack in the unit you're renting out to them, then most likely you're going to have them removed. I feel for the addicts that have corrected themselves, and I hope the best for Rick and Tara. Also, they're not locked up. They were in for an overnight, so please save my inbox the horrors. This comment is from Squaswin. I'm not sure if I'm glad or disappointed that the direction the story went wasn't as black clouds rolled over. My dad smirked, and before Rick knew what was happening, my dad simply stated, "I am the landlord." Then again, I suppose that's what separates pro-revenge from regular revenge. This comment is from Dondionitz. Rick, I am your landlord new. This comment is from Isolin. What's wrong with you? Are you on crack or something? Oh. That was Reddit Reads r/pro-revenge. If you like this content, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you are notified of new uploads. We upload new videos every day. Also subscribe to our Patreon, as that will help us a lot. See you next time.